Hello again. Let's get into The Instant Farmer, chapter number 29. Ken says, "Hey, buddy, we are so happy to go on a double date tonight. Just glad to hear from you." Greg says, "You sound better today. I'm glad to hear from you also." Ken says, "So, where and when?" That is all I need to know. That way I could mesh our schedules. Greg says, "Before we get into that, how is work going?" Ken says, "Well, the huge project is about to be approved by my boss. That is a huge step forward. You know, I don't know your schedule for this week. Maybe I can say hi to Lola tomorrow." Greg says, "Lola misses you already. My schedule is free on Thursday, but you are going to be busy at work." Ken says, "Yeah, it will be quite some time before I get a day off." Greg says, "Maybe I can meet you for lunch on Thursday. I can bring Lola with me. We can go to that park near your work." Ken says, "Yeah, I miss you, buddy." Greg says, "So tonight? Where and when?" "There is a seafood restaurant in the downtown area. We could meet for 7:50. No, let's make it 8 o'clock. Ken says, "I am familiar with that restaurant. Glad you chose it. It is across the street from the famous fountain." Greg says, "That's the one. If we decide to drink too much, we might end up swimming in the fountain." Ken says, "Okay, sounds good. 8 o'clock. We will see you there." The two best friends hang up the phone. Ken decides to call Sarah instead of sending a text message. This call was on the short side. Ken basically explains that he will meet her in front of the famous fountain at 7:40. That will give these two a chance to be alone before their date. Sarah likes that restaurant, so she says okay to the scheduled meeting time and place. They say goodbye. Ken has some time from now until he needs to leave his apartment. He still wants to visit Peter today. Peter is so great. He figures he can go upstairs to the lower penthouse. He is, of course, fully dressed for tonight. Yeah, Peter it is. Ken walks out of his apartment and into the hall. He is very careful to remember that he locked the door. He walks to the elevator, calls the elevator. On Peter's floor, Ken exits the elevator. He casually walks down the hall and stops at Peter's door. He knocks on the door. He can hear Peter's dog bark quite a bit. Within a few seconds, the barking stops. Peter opens the door. He welcomes his guest to come inside. Does Ken want coffee or tea tonight? Ken says, "Hello, Peter." Peter says, "I'm glad you came over." Ken says, "You definitely know how to make me smile. Your dog is so nice. My best friend has a dog also." Peter says, "Please, Come in. Don't let the mess bother you. Ken says, your coffee is of the highest quality. Extra cream, please. Peter says, you seem to be chipper today. Do you have plans later? Ken says, I have plans to go out on a double date. I am so excited. Peter says, the missus passed away a few years ago. I miss her dearly. I would love to hear how your date went. Maybe tomorrow? Ken says, my condolences. She must have been quite exceptional. Peter says, you are a good friend. She lived a long life. Maybe we will be together again. So what is on your mind? Ken says, I am in such a mood today. I feel amazing. Peter says, yes, you are happy. I hope for you to keep your mood for as long as possible. There, the coffee is ready. That was extra cream? What about sugar? Ken says, no sugar for me, please. Peter says, I am much older than you. I can tell that you have experienced a life-changing event recently. Do you want to talk about it? Ken says, thanks for the coffee. You were such a great host. Life-changing? Yes. Well, recently I have met the woman of my dreams. Could that be what you were picking up on? Peter says, I am just happy that I have somebody to host. Being old is never pretty. Do you like my apartment? Ken says, I am very impressed with your apartment. It is much larger than mine. The floor layout is quite spacious. Peter says, thank you for the compliment. You are fantastic company. Ken says, I would like to make visiting you a regular event. How does that sound? Peter says, well, that sounds great. Let us become great friends. You said that you do what for a living? Ken says, I am a project manager at an architectural firm. I am currently extremely busy on a new project. This building will change the whole landscape of the downtown. I love this job. Peter says, tell me about your girlfriend. Ken says, she is amazing. She works downtown and knows all of the posh restaurants. She is somebody who knows how to make me smile. She is very close to her family. That is a great thing. Peter says, yes, she does sound amazing. I am proud of you. And you are meeting her tonight? Ken says, yes, it will be a double date. It will be the two of us along with my best friend and his girlfriend. Peter says, I would love to hear how your evening panned out. I wish you luck. Ken says, thank you, Peter. I appreciate having you to talk to and to visit. The coffee is very good. Peter is staring into the living room while Ken slowly sips on his coffee. Peter has a long distance stare right now. It truly is mesmerizing to watch Peter's behavior. The old man is starting to understand how Ken feels about Sarah. It is bringing memories of Peter's beloved wife. Good memories are priceless. The two friends are chatting away. The conversation is pretty deep. It is about life and marriage and dogs, of course. Peter's dog is wanting to go for a walk. Peter tells Ken not to ignore his dog's mood. It could be disastrous. Peter says, I always walk my dog whenever he acts like this. Would you like to accompany me? Ken says, I love other people's dogs. I don't have a dog of my own. The body language of your dog is very interesting. I do have a bit of time before my grand evening. Peter says, great. Put your coffee on the table. We will be back soon enough. This dog of mine needs to go out. The two of them leave the apartment together. The dog is with them as they enter the hall. The dog has a smile on his face. He knows exactly how to get his owner's attention. In the elevator and down to the lobby, Peter finally reveals the name of his dog as they walk out into the street. Nova is her name, and he is very well taken care of. The three of them walk slowly down the street as Nova can do his business. There, that is it. Peter bends over to pick up the dog's poop with a small bag. They walk directly to the garbage bin on the sidewalk. After throwing the bag away, Nova feels much better. He instinctively knows that his master is so kind. They are now ready to go back up to Peter's apartment. Ken looks at his watch while they are in the elevator. Yes, he has more than enough time to finish his coffee. He is going to finish his coffee and then leave. He mentions how quick it was for Nova to do his business. Yeah, Nova is a good dog. Back in Peter's apartment now. Ken sits down on the couch and picks up his coffee mug. He drinks his cooled down to room temperature coffee. That is fine. He drinks a little sip. That is excellent coffee. Yes, Ken likes it. Peter says, how is your coffee? It must have cooled significantly. Ken says, yes, the coffee has cooled to room temperature. I tried it in its current state. It might have improved. Yes, time has improved my coffee. Peter says, you seem to have excellent taste. I would be happy if you decide to visit frequently. I like you. Ken says, thank you, Peter. I like you as well. What time is good for you? I mean, I must go to work, but maybe after work I could swing by? Peter says, I'm going to need more coffee. The usual time works for me. Ken says, I had a great time with you today, but I do have plans, and my evening with Sarah will be happening soon. It is time to leave. Thank you for the coffee. Peter says, come back any time. I like you. Okay, time to go. Ken leaves the apartment and enters the hall. He feels great. Yes, this was a great visit. He takes the elevator down a few floors. Ken is home. He steps into his apartment. He has maybe 20 minutes before he must leave. He genuinely feels ready for his date. Wow, that coffee was good. Ken gets one last look in his bathroom mirror. Then he is on his way. That concludes this chapter. I hope you enjoyed listening. Again, if you want to read along with me, then you should pick up a copy of my ebook from Kindle. Goodbye until the next chapter.